Greetings, fellow Terrans. Professor McKee here with a Let's Play of Terra Invicta. My spring semester is wrapping up, and with my tiny bit of extra time over the summer, I'm starting a new video series. Terra Invicta isn't a paradox game, like Imperator, but it is a grand strategy game that helps you learn geography, both on Earth and space geography, so it's right up my alley. To give a brief description, Terra Invicta is set in modern times, early 2020s, and an alien spaceship has just crash landed on Earth. There are 7 shadowy Illuminati-esque factions that form in response to this crash land, and they all have different opinions on how humanity should react to this new discovery, aliens. As we encounter the other factions in the first couple episodes, we'll learn more about how they are responding to the aliens. We'll of course learn more about our own faction as the gameplay progresses. Now, before we get into the game, there's a lot of things we can rename in the game: counselors, spaceships, space stations, etc. So if you have suggestions on names to rename for these things, or you want to have a counselor named after yourself, just let me know in the comments. I will do that. First come, first serve. Additionally, if you have suggestions for house rules, again, let me know in the comments. I will consider them. I promise I will treat all of them with the utmost respect, just like how I try to treat my students in class. Now, the first decision is what faction to play. I'm a little torn. As a finance professor, there are 2 business-themed factions. It's the Initiative, led by one businessman, and the Project Exodus, another one. So they're tempting, and maybe in a future video series I'll play as one of these 2. However, I'm also a finance professor, and there's a faction called the Academy. It's also a difficult faction. So that is one where I'm going to play, and I'm going to start by adding my own house rules. So first of all, I'm not going to use spoils. That's an investment priority on countries. It loots the country using corruption to gain cash for your faction. It's a useful tool in your toolbox, but it's very inappropriate for the Academy, which is very idealistic about convincing the aliens to be equals and to be friends. And they want to be they're kind of utopian in terms of how they want Earth to become. Secondly, fitting with the utopian sort of theme, I need to make sure Earth is great in terms of economy, environment, government, all these characteristics. Earth should be a nice place to live. And then finally, this is the Academy. Research is important and valuable, so I'm going to be doing a lot of research. I'm going to try to make sure all the global texts have been completed and all the projects have been researched. We'll see how well that can work, but that's a third house rule that I'm going to choose. I'm going to leave it on normal difficulty. There's been a patch that I haven't played on yet. This is a difficult faction for reasons we will discover throughout the playthrough, so I'll stick to normal. And let's get started, and I'll be back after we watch the introduction.
We remember the day the stars answered, the day we learned we were not alone. As a familiar sun rose on an unfamiliar universe, some of us saw wondrous possibility, and others existential danger. The astronomers had insisted that the bright streak in the sky was no natural phenomenon. Most of us didn't really believe them until it burned through our atmosphere and crashed in a remote region, leaving only wreckage and uncertainty. In our ignorance, we fractured, taking refuge in our most primal emotions. Each of us saw what we wanted to see. Fear is understandable, a natural reaction to the unknown. It is only by joining together that we can rise above our base impulses. Our strength lies in our collective knowledge and our rich history of innovation. It is that bond that gives us courage, For if we cannot rise above our fear, we have learned nothing. And we are lost.
Okay. So that was the introduction to our faction, the Academy. The first half of that intro scene is the same for every faction, the alien ship crash landing, and that second half, the reaction to it, is unique to each faction. So we want to peacefully cooperate with the aliens as friends. Now, a little bit of a spoiler, but since there isn't much of a game if the aliens are friendly, well, there's a reason the Academy is the hardest faction. We're trying to convince both humanity and the aliens to get along when they both don't want to get along. But I'll pretend I don't know that. Now, I'm going to do some initial analysis of our starting position, our starting counselors, starting popular opinion, various things like that, and I'll come back in once I've done that analysis. So, see you in just a second. I have gone over my starting conditions, and I'm going to first talk about the counselors. Generally, for counselors, you're going to want 2 counselors with high persuasion, 2 because you need to do inspire to ensure people stay loyal, and you can inspire yourself. And then also someone who's great for espionage, someone who's great for investigation, someone who's great for command. That's 5, and the 6th one for advising. Now, the early game is a mad scramble to gain influence over the world's countries, represented by the control points, and you need persuasion for that. So persuasion is good. This guy actually starts out with pretty good persuasion. He's not amazing, but he's sneakily sort of good. So he's got good persuasion. He has astronomer, which gives us a 15% bonus to space science. Space science is really nice to have early game. Unfortunately, he's ethical and loss averse. I can get rid of loss averse. I can remove it. I can't remove ethical. And he loses loyalty every time we commit an atrocity. Hopefully we don't commit too many atrocities, but we are the Academy, so we shouldn't be committing atrocities, but if they happen, we're going to have problems. He's young enough that he'll last for the whole campaign, because the campaign lasts for 20 years or so, generally. Doesn't have a lot of missions, sadly, but he has the Control Nation, he has Inspire, so he should be decent. Our spy from the United States, Justin here, soon to be potentially renamed, is pretty good too. He's actually really good for both investigation and espionage. He's got hard target, which is pretty good if he gets attacked. He also has good persuasion too for some reason. He has really good stats, despite being really young. So he'll eventually be an investigation espionage person, unless I get someone better. And for now he'll be doing a lot of persuasion, but we might need someone who can do investigation and espionage later on in the early game. So they're both pretty good. I have room for 2 more people. But unfortunately my recruitment pool is kind of bad. So there's a lot of people with pretty low persuasion. I would really love to have someone high in persuasion. I don't have anyone like that. I'm thinking this is the best guy. He's not that great in persuasion. He's probably going to be my advised person later on, but he's got project manager, so I get an extra research slot right away. That's pretty good. He also has innovative, which gives me higher chances to trigger research projects. That's important later on too. And because he is media darling, he gets an extra 3 persuasion when he's in a democracy, basically. Which will be important because his base persuasion stat is not so great. So I'm probably going to pick him up once I get enough influence. And the 4th person, I don't know. There's this guy who's astronaut. Astronaut is generally pretty good for command. They always have a science trait as well, which boosts your research. Research is going to be important for me, so I might pick up him. I have no idea. I didn't realize Nigeria had a space program, but maybe they do. So maybe the pool will kind of refresh by the time I get to the 4th member of the council, but he's probably my choice just because I will need a command person, and astronauts tend to be quite good at those. And the rest of the field is not looking so attractive anyways. Okay, so that's my counselors. Now, our starting condition. Well, China has 82% public opinion in our favor. That means breaking into China would be feasible. Not easy, but possible. And the United States actually has really high opinion as well, 39%. China and US are the two big major powers that you probably want to target first, and they are both options for us. So I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to go for the US first, because China is bigger and harder for the AI to break into, and then I'm going to hope that once I have enough control point limit to expand outside of the US, that China will still be available, and China will still have high enough opinion of me that I can break in. I don't know if it'll work. There's a reason you might run into problems there, but we'll see. We'll see. China and US are both really powerful countries in terms of their economy and their starting stats and everything, so you will love to have them. Now, before I continue, I just want to explain why the Academy is such a hard faction. You might look at all this popular opinion. Russia has really high opinion. Countries all over the world have really high opinion for us in the Academy in green. Our start position is really good in terms of the countries and which countries we have options to get into. The problem is, it doesn't last very long, because once humanity figures out the aliens aren't coming in peace, we get hit with a real nasty event that destroys our public opinion. It cracks down on our control points. So every control point we control has a 50% chance that we lose it. And surviving that early game event is going to be difficult. I have a plan for it, and I'll explain it in a second. Also, every faction gets a unique organization, special organization, and our org is terrible. Well, relatively terrible compared to all the other factions. Some of them are just bonkers, amazing. Ours is pretty meh, not that great. The Academy win conditions to advance the storyline are much harder than everyone else's. You have to research the amount of research. We'll see when we get to those parts, but the amount of research is massive compared to other countries, to the other factions. Turns out that convincing everyone on the ideal of peaceful cooperation is not easy. Free trade is a tough sell. Go figure. Okay, so I've covered counselors, and actually, this one gives me 2 persuasion, which will help a lot in trying to take United States. So I think I will purchase him. This one gives me 1 persuasion as well. I can buy this too. Unfortunately, my first 2 counselors don't have much in the way of administration, so they can't equip many of these guys. So I get +1, +3. So I can get she here up to 10. I can also, well, if I spend a point on admin. Yeah, that's probably worth it. So I'll give him administration. Note that it boosts my control point count. And I will buy the books and Capricorn. So now he's up to 10. Which means just
what's the up?
Himself. He already has a 2% chance for the US, up to 13% chance. So he's got pretty good persuasion there. I burned a lot of my money. I will get it back eventually. Okay, so our first steps. I'm going to not go after US for my first steps. I'm going to go after Kazakhstan. The reason for that is Kazakhstan has Well, it produces 2.5 boost. The Federation that it's in with Russia takes away most of that boost, but it still has a pretty respectable amount. And there's a way to take our boost back. I have a lot of popular opinion. It's a very small country. Kazakhstan is probably the best country to go after on your first turn, simply because of the boost. Boost is really important early game, and I want that. So he doesn't need any help. He's 95% chance.
Putting our people in place.
Justin here
Standing by for orders.
has 84% chance. I want to save my influence to recruit my third character, who will help me with Canada and United States.
Putting
So
our
Justin
people
will
in
go
Paris.
research. These are the 3 global techs. As you can see, we already have a very high bonus on space science. There's a lot of space science techs early on that you want. I don't have very many projects. I'm just doing management because the control point count is something I will need a lot of if I'm going to be greedy and try to get US and China. Okay, I think that's everything. For the first few turns, because there's a lot of early game events, I'm not going to do much cutting, but let's get started. And first event, so humanity. There's no options here. Every country gains 1 cohesion. So everyone's a little bit concerned about the reveal that there's aliens. Okay, and then UN Security Council meets to discuss this alien arrival. Unsurprisingly, the major powers, China, Russia, and the US, are all pointing fingers at each other. And we have some options. We can remain in the shadows. We gain ops, which we don't have any ops income right now. We can do kind of a mix of ops and political influence, this resource here. And it gives us a public opinion boost. Or we can deliver our manifesto, we get a public opinion boost, and we gain only influence, no ops. I think you can make an argument that ops is important here because it's hard to gain ops income, especially early on. But we're trying to break into some really large countries, and a free political opinion boost is going to help us, revealing information about us to our other factions who might eventually become our enemies is not really that serious right now. They're going to be busy trying to pick off countries, and they're not going to be attacking us, at least yet. So I'm going to go with delivering our manifesto to the world. Most of the world already agrees with our manifesto, at least right now, so it's not that big a deal. And just to note, we are currently at 70%. It dropped down because probably other factions are doing things, making choices here. And we're now at 33%. This is going to go up.
We must not only defend human lives from the aliens, we must ensure those lives remain worth living.
And we've encountered the resistance. So they see the aliens and they assume the aliens are going to fight us. But, obviously they're wrong. There's no reason to think the aliens are enemies. At least yet. They're a pretty reasonable faction. We can mostly get along with them.
They are not life forms or xenosapiens. They are demons incarnate. They and the traitors who support them will face our judgment.
Humanity first. This is the other faction that really hates the aliens and assumes that they are here to attack us. They're much more extreme. We can't really get along with these people. They don't think the aliens are worth negotiating with at all. Resistance probably would be willing to do it. These guys are crazy xenophobic lunatics that think they should just genocide these people without even ever trying to talk to them. Which, of course, they're here to peacefully trade with us. Free trade. And Hans Castile is not interested in that at all. But that's the only 2 we've met so far.
We're taking over.
Alright, so we got the first point in Kazakhstan.
Our supporters are in
And we
place.
got both. Now, the most optimal way to play here would be to pause and to change Kazakhstan's investment priorities. I am not going to do that, because that's...
Our only hope is to understand what the aliens want with us and determine how to satisfy them without losing our independence.
Okay, so this is the third faction that is considering the aliens to be hostile. Except, unlike Humanity First and Resistance, Protectorate wants to negotiate a surrender. They think the aliens are so much more powerful than us because of their technology. They can cross interstellar distances. They're assuming they're from not our solar system. And so they think we're going to lose. A lot of people hate these guys. I understand why. Their initial reaction does actually make some sense. But again, they're assuming the aliens are not going to be our friends. And we will prove them wrong. Oh, we've identified someone in Brazil, whatever. Okay, next event, management team. So we can choose to have lobbyists or influencers, scientists, engineers, officers or operators, or financiers and investors. So in previous patches, this was the best option because it gave you ops income. Now it doesn't give you income. The other ones do. So we need to decide between influence, research, a flat amount of ops, or base money. Tough choice here. Our income is kind of not great, although it'll improve once we start taking countries. And I'm going to be throwing a lot of influence out at trying to take the United States. 15 research is a lot right now, but once you take a large country, 15 is research is nothing. I think the influence is good here. So, lobbyists and influencers it is. Alright, next turn. So I have taken... if I was doing spoils, Saudi Arabia would be good, but I'm not. Alright, so... I have the executive. In 179 days, I can go in and I can leave the Federation. So right now I'm with them. I can say nope, I'm going to leave the Federation. But I have to. This is also a change. The other way to do it is I could throw a coup, and that automatically resets, and you're removed from the Federation. I'm not going to go for the coup because I want to try and get into the U.S. as quickly as possible. And the U.S. has a ton of boost. I don't think I really need to worry about min-maxing boost quite that much. Alright, now, in terms of priorities. Kazakhstan. I will hopefully keep it long-term, but I'm not sure about that. I'm going to put it all into mission control. Eventually I'll have Kazakhstan back at some point, and mission control is pretty much permanent. It'll take a fair while for this to work out, but I'm just going to put 100% building mission control. You need lots of mission control. That is another key resource, especially later on. But you need to get started right away, or if you want to have enough later. Okay, so I have enough influence to recruit my next guy. And it's going to be the engineer. Alright, Thomas is on the team. I could actually get another person. I have 60, unless I'm recruiting this billionaire kingpin. Everyone else I could just recruit. You don't want to be missing out on an action, even if these people are not ideal. So I'm going to pause here for a second. And this gives me some ops income. So I actually have a source of ops income. So, Nigerian astronaut has also been recruited. So 2 Americans, Chinese, and an African. Unfortunately, these guys have terrible persuasion, but we can deal with that. I'm going to first equip this last org that I can purchase. It'll pay itself back within a few months. Gives me some extra science and another research boost to my projects. Unfortunately, there's other things I could buy, like this one. They cost a lot of money. I can't really afford them. And my astronaut, he does actually need persuasion because he's probably going to be my other inspire, because he can do inspires. So I will give him persuasion. But Thomas and the astronaut, whose name I'm not even going to try, are both pretty bad. He gets the extra +3 because he's media darling and Canada has democracy. So I can spend a lot of influence and get a pretty good shot in Canada. And
Where do you
Justin
need
and she are both high enough
Ready.
persuasion that they've got good chances. The reason I'm doing this is because if you control a country that borders another country, you gain a bonus to the control nation mission. So I control Kazakhstan now, so I get 0.5. The more control points you control out of the total that border, the better it is. So if you control all of Canada and all of Mexico, these are the only two countries that border the United States. So you gain the full bonus, and that is probably going to be enough. I can already get 12% chance here, and I will get quite a bit higher just by picking off Canada and US. And once you're rolling 30s and 40% chances, you'll eventually start picking up points. Once you get at least 1 point, it gets a lot easier. So she here, I'll just give him a little bit extra because he's ethical, so he has an extra point on his roll. That's hopefully good
Bringing
enough.
them to our side.
Ready for
Justin
orders. Ready for my mission.
doesn't really
Reporting
have
in.
a bonus here, so I'm going to put him to Mexico, and again, spend some influence. Honestly, I'll just spend as much as I can. It's a lot of
We'll bring
influence.
this nation to our side.
Thomas here. Okay, I don't have enough influence. I'm glad I picked the monthly influence.
We'll bring this nation to our side.
Acknowledged.
Justin, try here for like 8.
Bringing them to our side.
Influence is tight early game, so I am trying to... yeah. And I'll burn the rest for a 59% chance here. Hopefully I get
Establishing
it.
our presence.
And
Ready.
he could try for Canada or Mexico, but these are going to be pretty low shots, and I don't have the influence to pay for more. So he'll go investigate the alien ship that crashed. That's good. Research. I'm going to make my next project be... well, I have house income. Honestly, either influence or money. And I'm just leaving everything as the base amount right now. I don't have much research anyways. There is a bonus if you spread out your research, so you want to spread it out if you can. I'm not winning right now, but I will catch up. Okay. That's fine. Let's go.
We have found something.
Alright, we've investigated the alien that crashed in Russia.
Chancellor, we have completed our initial field investigation at the crash site.
So we get a little influence, a little bit of science. And we have a new project available. Well, we will next day.
We were unable to establish control.
Oh, alright, we failed to get the control point in Canada despite a very high chance to succeed. And there, now we have the first actual project. Very cheap, allows us to detect the aliens. I'm sure they're just making friends, they're not actually abducting people. And I'll just leave it, I'll spread out again. Nothing needs to change.
We were unable to establish control.
Another failure.
Our presence is growing.
Okay, so the person who had the least chance of success got the point, the other two failed. Okay, just double check. Yep, no one's moved on us there, no one's in there, no one's in China, of course. Canada and Mexico are still untaken. So these are all open. They're telling me I have new orgs on the market, and indeed we do. Oh, that'd be nice. These are all really expensive, unfortunately. So one in Poland, one in Brazil. Cost tons of money. Yeah, some of these are really nice. I just don't have the money or influence to purchase them. My engineer here, given his success, and I really need the persuasion. Persuasion. The astronaut, I will also give him persuasion. I just really need to boost persuasion for everybody. Okay. We need
Reporting in.
to go after Canada again.
We'll be running this place in no time.
Where to?
Our spy
Ready.
has a good chance for Mexico.
We'll be running this place in no time.
Our engineer, because of his meteoric status, has a good can have a good chance for Canada.
Taking control.
And just as a
Standing by for
demonstration, we
orders.
already have a 0.9 bonus here, and that's just from one of the control points. Still a long way to go. Okay, so I could do a control nation, but his persuasion is low. Actually, this is high enough. I think it's worth going for.
Establishing control.
So I'll do control nations on Canada, which if both work, I will fully control it. 2 control nations on Mexico, which again, if it works, I get 2 of the 4. Now I can set priorities. So what I'll do is I'll have Canada found a space program. It's already most of the way there. And then I'll put it on mission control. Once I am breaking into the United States, I'll have to abandon it, but it will keep building it, hopefully. Research is good. Down source is set. All good to go.
We've gained significant support.
Excellent. A critical success. That's just public opinion in our favor, which means our second swing at the last control point has a higher chance as well.
We still lack support.
Okay, we failed in Mexico, even though we had a high chance there. Unfortunate.
We've gained significant support.
And his success chance improved. It was at 64%, I believe, when we started. The public opinion boosted it a bit. And yes, so we have full control of Canada. Council were spotted in Canada.
We've gained significant support.
And we got a spot in Mexico with our astronauts. Great job. Alright, so you notice we're already up to 83 out of 174. US is very expensive, but we have all 3, so I'm going to change Canada to be completely on space program right now. Okay, good persuasion. Spend just a tad of influence. Yeah.
Bringing them.
Ready to go.
I will try once again for him to redeem himself.
This
I don't have much else that he can really do besides like advise. So I will go for the last point.
It has always been true that we must leave the cradle if our species is to survive. If these aliens are indeed hostile, the time to go is now.
And Project Exodus has introduced themselves. So Project Exodus is probably the faction we can get along with the best. and they want to colonize the galaxy beyond our solar system. And now that they realize that it's actually feasible because aliens who are clearly not from our solar system have arrived, and they want to go. So their goals are not really a problem for us as long as they're not, taking resources we need to convince everyone that free trade is a good idea. And that's because our global tech has finished. We can now see that there's more alien ships coming to Earth's orbit.
The trick is not.
Okay, thank you, Hans Steele. So the faction that contributed the most was not us. Project Exodus, they have selected advanced electromagnetism as the next global tech. But we can track all alien vessels within the inner solar system. This is what's going to trigger our really nasty event. So we go to my research, they've done electromagnetism. This is actually good. This will help us get into the early colonization of space. So I'm glad they picked it. I'm glad they did not pick Deep System Skywatch. Oh, this is just a random event. ISS was nearly hit by orbital debris. It would be wise to set up point defense systems, but we don't have the tech for that yet. We get 50 science, which completes our alien signatures. There's no doubt extraterrestrial life has touched down. Yes, we know that. And there are many questions. So we now have a tracking system that can reliably identify alien activity. Surely they're not abducting people to do bad things to them that the IRB would not approve of, because they're here for peaceful trading.
Chancellor, our inquiry so far has only yielded more mysteries.
Yes. And each faction will have a different sort of take on these sort of common objectives. We are very much wait-and-see sort of approach. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with that. We'll find them eventually. We have other things to research, and they want me to research Deep System Skywatch. I'm not doing that quite yet. And they want me to get alien technology. There's a lot of objectives. I'm probably going to need influence to try to break into the US, so I will do that. And I'm going to focus on You're Not Alone. That'll finish faster than what it says right now. No one else is researching it. But this is a very good tech to get, and there's follow-up techs that we want as well.
We failed to take control.
Missed it by 1%.
We've got our people in place.
But Justin redeemed himself and got a control point in Mexico.
We're taking over.
And we had a critical success. Great job. Rolled a 0. But with this many points, I probably
Ready to go.
can start taking swings at the United States. Yes. That's a very high chance. 47% chance. Basically a coin flip.
Establishing our presence.
Now that eats all of my
Reporting in.
political influence.
Acknowledged.
So I need to do... I need to give them some help. Like, for instance, by publicly campaigning to boost popular...
Ready for my
support.
mission. Standing by.
And can you do it too? Yeah, you can do it too. I don't have much money, but...
Making our case.
Ready.
Let's just leave it at 60%. My
Must
money is
persuade the
quite
people.
low. And then my last counselor, he could try for this. unfortunately, there's not much else he can really do besides that, so I will go for it. I kind of actually need the political influence to keep taking swings at the United States. So, yeah, I'm actually gonna focus that. Okay, so, and mission to space is complete, and the servants controlled it. They picked advanced carbon manipulation. It's eventually useful tech, but it's not needed for the early game race towards pushing into space. But, okay. Could be worse. Could be Deep System Skywatch. As long as I don't have that, I'm kind of happy. Alright, another event for the early game, our advisory team. So we can either... we're picking chief advisors for our management team. And it could be improving our economy investment on the countries we control, improving investment in the spaceflight program and boost, improving investment in military and build army, or international aid, so welfare and knowledge. So this is not that useful. You're not going to be spending much on boost and spaceflight programs besides very early on. And these things will provide bonuses much longer term. Given that we're going to be trying to make the world a much better place overall as the house rule, international aid, I think, or economic development. I'm not really sure which to pick. I'm just going to go with international aid because, hey, free trade.
Public opinion is moving in our direction.
Another roll of 0, and now this is going to make our control nation attempt much higher chances because we just improved it by 9%.
We hold no sway in their minds.
The other one failed. Oh well.
We still lack support.
Didn't work the first time, but we'll get to go again.
We failed to take control.
And failed in Mexico too. Let's try again. Now it's a 65% chance.
Taking control.
What's the op?
I'll do the public campaign. I can't really afford to spend the money.
Making our case.
Where to?
Maybe I can afford to spend a little bit of money.
We must persuade the people.
And
At
again,
your
I'm
service.
going to try for Mexico. It's a 36% shot. If it succeeds, it would help me further get into the United States.
We've moved the needle.
Okay, better chance. Public campaign, now 50% of America is in favor of free trade at the Academy. Another random event because we own the ISS, coffee in space. I could pay a ton of money and boost and get permanent research output. I can't do that. If I'm initiative, I could make money. If I'm an extremist faction, I could do some sort of crazy coffee. So I'm stuck with just 1% research output increase. Oh well. Excellent. We have our first point in the US. The next points will all be easier, and this is going to immediately boost our boost income. That's going to increase our science dramatically. We now have a bunch of money coming in. US is a really powerful country. All right, United States. Yeah, I don't care about that. United States has a couple of problems early on that reduces its production. So its unrest is higher. Now it will eventually drop to 0 just naturally, so I'm not going to need to stabilize nation. I don't have anyone with that mission anyways. But inequality is a little bit high, and that means our cohesion in the US has a base value of 2. You want to be at 5 in order to hit the maximum in terms of research. Obviously, research is really important. So the first thing I'm going to do is put everything into welfare. This will reduce our inequality. Welfare, basically all it does is reduce inequality. Also, with the new patch, it will remove colony region status, so that's very nice. So eventually Puerto Rico will become a state if we invest in welfare enough. So each point will pull inequality down. That'll pull our cohesion higher. You can see our inequality, the higher it is, the worse it is in terms of cohesion. Unfortunately, there's a lot of points we don't control that'll be working against us. And the other thing I'm going to do just temporarily, actually I'll do that first. I'll just do unity first, because that will boost my public opinion. Actually, I'll just put it even split between the two. I want to reduce this. I also want to get my public opinion higher. If you run unity and you control points, it'll boost your public opinion. So we control the financial sector. Well, I'm a finance professor. That's the perfect place to start. Go again. Again, 16. We're good to go.
They are here to cleanse our sick world. The aliens are our saviors, and all who oppose them are enemies of the future.
The servants. So they think the aliens are great, and we actually can get along with them better than most factions, but they're still trying to basically become servants or slaves, really, of the aliens. We want to be equals. Yeah, so we'll have problems with them too. Alien abductions in China have been spotted, so we can send someone to investigate that. We got some people who can do that, and they're kind of struggling to find good things for them to do, so that's good. Well, it's not great that people are being kidnapped, but I'm sure everything is being done according to IRB standards. We have an extra bonus, so now we can have an 80% chance. I don't think we need to spend quite that much influence. Maybe 74. So actually, I'm not going to make that swing yet.
We'll see what we can find. Where do you need me?
Instead, I'll continue just to boost public opinion.
I will tell our story.
Ready for my mission.
And I'm going to try to spike up to the first 5 and then abandon Canada and Mexico, because if you're way over control point cap, the AI factions will smell blood in the water and attack you. And then I have this first investigation, which will advance the story. Okay, so I usually won't show these, but the investigation is complete. It always succeeds, and you gain a small bonus to the xenology research. So all research projects or global attacks, if any exist, will get a bonus. And each time you investigate alien activity, you'll get a bonus, so it'll get quite high.
Chancellor, I have worrying news regarding alien behavior.
The disappearances are worrying, not in their number. After all, we kill each other, but by what they imply. They're doing research on us. They're selecting us. But these are the kind of things that, you research animals, not humans. We have not yet found a consent form that the victims have been signing. So we are still holding out hope for cooperation, but we are going to have some issues, potentially. We will have issues. And there's going to be a new tech called Alien Methods. That's a new project that I'll jump on once we see it. Okay, and then one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just send him to do Control Nation on some really small country. I'll very quickly abandon them, Belize, but I can set it to found a space program and it'll work on that even after I abandoned it. At least that's the idea. And Canada has done their spaceflight program, which means now they can focus on mission control. Good job, Canada. In Africa. Okay, so there's one alien hanging around China. There's one hanging around Africa. We have the second point in the United States. We are now over the cap by quite a lot. Where it's cost us a lot of it costs us influence, and it also weakens us in terms of protecting our points. Okay, so we're losing about 1 influence per control point, and also weakens our ability here. So we are going to, oops, I forgot to put the last point on pure spaceflight. Mistake. So Belize will found a space program, which I will, to save points, I'm just going to immediately abandon Belize. So it's costing us 1 against our cap. Now it costs us 0. But the priorities we set still are in effect until someone takes it. I'm sure someone will take it quickly. But so the idea is that I'm going to spike up my control point incredibly high by taking Canada, or by taking United States, and then once I do that, I dump Canada, which will save me 45, and I dump Mexico, 14 times 4, so 28 plus 28, so almost 60. So that'll save me a lot of control point cap, which should bring me something to be something reasonable. I would eventually come back and get these countries, but that's going to be later on. Okay, so let's figure this out. 32%, so 61%.
Establishing
chance.
control.
At your service.
81% chance.
Establishing our presence.
Where do you need me? I'm
Because
here.
immediate darling, he has a much better chance than the other guy. Another 61.
Establishing our presence.
And
Where
just to try and give us even slightly higher chance of hitting, I will go for 32 with him. If I get all 4, I get all 4. As long as I get 3 of these 4, I'm in great shape. If I get less than that, it's not so great.
Bringing them on board.
Then I have to decide if I try to hang on to Canada and Mexico another round. But this is a gamble. We'll see how it goes. Soren, the one guy we have not yet met. And Protectorate 1, they picked orbital shipbuilding. Okay, that's eventually useful, but it's not really advancing things for us. On the other hand, they didn't pick Deep System Skywatch, so that's something. This is what I was afraid of. Okay, so someone has cracked down our point in Canada. No idea who, but it was vulnerable because we did not have. Now we're right at our cap again. But this unfortunately hurts our chances of getting the point in the US. Okay, this was the easiest one, but we did get it. Now we're way over again.
Our supporters are in place.
Excellent. We got 2. Just need 1 more.
We've gained significant
We
support.
got it. Yes. We have 5 to 6. And we'll see if we don't get the last one. That's fine. Because if you control 5, or you control everything but the executive, no one can take this unless you already control one. So no one can go after the president of the United States. Only we can. And as you can see, we are massively over our cap now. 278 versus 175. So everyone's on mission control. I'm just going to abandon. Canada goes bye-bye. And again, Mexico, you're building your space program. Abandon. And now I'm at 191 versus 175. Much more reasonable. I probably can't afford taking the United States. But taking the presidency, the executive, but I have taken everything else. So the corporations, the regional authorities, that's like the states, I guess, if we're talking the US, the mass media, and Congress all are working with us to promote free trade. Accept the president. Yes, that does seem quite accurate based on current 2025 politics. And I'm going to go completely on welfare. I'm trying to get this welfare down so that cohesion will go up towards 5. That'll boost the research output. And once you fix this cohesion, you can basically do whatever you want with the United States. I'll think about what I'm going to do, and I think this is a great place to end the episode because we've taken the US. We're only about 20 above our control point cap, so with the US being so large, I doubt anyone can take this. Kazakhstan is vulnerable. I could abandon it, and that would put me well under my cap. But Kazakhstan has so much nice boost, I don't want to give it up unless I absolutely have to. And we will be able to remove Kazakhstan from the Federation at some point soon. Still a long way away. I probably will lose Kazakhstan. It's easy to attack, but we'll see. Alright. So, one last quick check on counselors, if there's anyone good to recruit. These are all... those are the old ones. This celebrity would have been wonderful to have at the beginning. No. This is someone who has quick learner. He's a bit old, but he's utterly devoted to free trade. Good for him. So he'd be pretty good for either the espionage or investigation. So I would like to get this person if I can. But I will try to investigate that in the next episode. So, if you have any suggestions, house rules, you want to have some of our counselors renamed for you, or even our armies, because the armies can be renamed too, let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed. See you next episode.